Welcome, everyone, to our discussion of episode 6 of House of the Dragon, season 2, titled Smallfolk. An episode that did show us more of what I'm loving about this series and season thus far is getting that outside perspective from the people on the ground. And they're hungry and they're upset and they're out for more than food in this episode. They were fisticuffs were out, man. So we'll talk about that, and we'll also talk about the power shifting going on with Aemon. He is definitely someone that is not easily manipulated like his brother Aegon, who woke up in this episode. And we'll talk about, do we think that he doesn't remember? Does he remember what happened? We'll talk about that. New dragon riders, people getting burnt alive. We'll talk about that. A new relationship that I didn't anticipate coming between Rhaenyra and Mysaria. And what does that mean? Is it a genuine relationship from one particular side of the party? And Mysaria, can she truly be trusted? Is she genuine in this relationship? We'll talk about that. He's someone that's not as easily to manipulate and to take advantage of as his brother is. He wants to just move ahead with the plans of going to Harrenhal and kind of not listening. Alicent, Cole, and everyone in that room right now realizes this is a different beast. No, this is a much different beast than what we've been dealing with even the past king, with Viserys. Obviously, we know Viserys was a much more kinder king. Aemon's got that Daemon in him. This is a younger version of Daemon, and he has a lot to prove. And one of them is proving that he is the better version of Daemon. And it's almost like they've created this monster in a sense, right? And Alicent, I think she definitely realizes that in this episode when she talks about the kids and her kids and how she raised them, which is a perfect segue into this moment here. I don't know what else Alicent needs to see to realize that she has no power in this game right now. Aemon fires his mom and says, listen, we don't need you anymore, Mom. Appreciate you, but just go on about your business and again, deal with your domestic things that I know you probably are interested in. To me, this is a little bit too little too late from Alicent, trying to, have a mother-son moment of just like, oh, it wasn't that long ago that you were just a young kid, and I was your mom. But that time has passed, and that sense of motherly warmth and love and respect for one another has long passed this point. I would be lying if I said there's a little bit of me, just a little bit, that feels kind of bad for Alicent. And I think it's more so because of Olivia Cook. I think she plays both sides really well. Because I'm just thinking of just taking my Team Black out of the equation for a second, just looking at the character when you put yourself in the character's shoes, but just thinking of how she was raised, all the years of her father, guiding her into Viserys's keep, and then marrying Viserys, having kids with Viserys, staying by his side during his illness, so on and so forth. All these years to just build to nothing, just taking which side I sway on, which is Team Black, is like, damn, I kind of feel bad. Let me know if you all have that sense of care for a Team Green representative and Alicent. And lo and behold, he's back. And this is something we know weighs heavily on Daemon, that, there was a lot of time lost between these brothers, a lot of bad decisions made, more so on Daemon's side than Viserys, but it is something that weighs on him. Definitely created a rift between him and his brother. And it's something that, again, all these dreams, all these visions that he's having are moments of regret, moments of feeling confused, upset about certain decisions made. And I know we were doing a watch party, and I would love to know you guys' comments on how you feel about this. Is the Daemon visions getting old for you guys? Like, is it getting a little bit too old? Because I'll tell you what, I didn't anticipate him to be on this journey this whole time this season. Like, I don't think we'll see him like on, dealing with the main storyline. Like, he's going through his own past. Like, is it too on the nose? Is it too much? Like, does this character have to continuously go into this path? I was like, give me more of this. As a fan of horror, I like Supernatural and how they're tying into this show. I'm liking it so far, but I can see the other side of the narrative. I'm like, it's nice, but can we move it on? But let me know how y'all feel about that. Is it getting tiring? Is it getting old? Do you want to move past it? Or are you like me and think that it serves, like I said, him and Harrenhal, we all can agree that it has a purpose to it while he's there, what he's doing there. But as far as the other element of the dreams, the visions, and the conversations being had with a character, I'll tell you what, I think we can all agree to this, regardless of how you feel about if you're tired of Daemon. This relationship has been very interesting, at least for me. Much as the Helena in the situation, where we got to pay attention to what Alice is saying. In this conversation, things will shift to your advantage, which we see later in this episode. Keep note of these relationships of these characters. You know, your Alice and your Damons, your Masarias and Rhaenyras, your Adams, Allen, Corliss, you know, so Aegon, his mom, and his brother, Cole. You know, there's all these different pair ups that are really working so far for me in this season, and really intrigued to see where it all lands. Rhaenyra and Stefan. Let's see, since you have it might be thin, but it's still blood that runs in his body. That's Targaryen blood, and he has a dragon, Sea Smoke, who's been riderless for a bit, because I can't remember chronologically like how long it's been since Lenore died, a la, you know, went off and lived his life. Nara thinks that he has one, and we see the whole and by the way, I gotta say, I'm a fan world building lore, you know, seeing, because I always have questions, like, you know, this is on a side note, but like I think of Dune, right? I think of the Dune, which I'm a big fan of that franchise, so the Frank Herbert novel, and of course Denis Villeneuve's masterpieces. But like I always wonder, like, the bond between the writer and the sandworms, right? And like seeing how that played out in Dune 2. Like I love things like that, just like the bond between human and beast, and the dragons, you know, How to Train Your Dragon, stuff like that. I just really appreciate those type of moments we can take out to just show you how things operate in the world, right? How rules work and so on and so forth. But fortunately, Sea Smoke was been closer. Unfortunately, Stefan is no longer with us. And right now, Rhaenyra feels pretty bad. Speaking of the queen, we have Rhaenyra and the White Worm having a conversation again. They've been building their relationship over the last few weeks and their trust with one another. And the White Worm has come up with another good idea. We established last week that the town folk, the small folk, have grown restless of the king. Them not treating them with the respect and dignity and just the simple thing of feeding their people. They're not doing that. So the idea is to send off a care package and to take the disdain that the people have with Rhaenyra, which again, she's known as the child killer. But you know, to take that name out there with the child killer and replace it with the giver, right? The people that does care for the little folk, the person that does care for the people, coming off genuine. But I mind you that she is cut from that cloth of like someone that cannot always be trusted. So again, I'm hoping that it is someone she can trust, and I'm hoping that the narrative standpoint, you remove a character like Rhaenys, who was someone that Rhaenyra can trust and have someone on her side. You take her off the board, and then you replace that with another character, and that character for right now, Mysaria. But the question is, can she be trusted? Speaking of Mysaria and leaning on to Larys, he's having a conversation with the temporary king and Aemon. And, you know, coming up with it like, listen, my lord, the people of the town, very similar to what Mysaria said to Rhaenyra, they're growing restless. I know we got a war to focus on that we're trying to win, but we need to make sure the people are on our side. They're on to something, Larys. And I think, you know, he says, you know, I would love to be the hand for you. I would love to serve. And Larys thinks like, I'm coming on up in the world. Nah. You just gave the king, temporary king, a new idea, which is like I've been asking for the last few weeks. Is like, where is Otto? He's like, you know what? Go fetch my granddad. Let's get him back into my good graces. Which, by the way, I don't know if y'all can see this on this character's face after Larys tried to make that move, and he's like laughing at him. You know, Aemon is visiting his brother after he hears that he's speaking now, that he's up. He asks his brother, you know, what do you remember? And he says he doesn't remember anything. But for the first time, I think this is the smartest move that Aegon has made. I think he's lying. Let me know in the comments if you guys think he was telling the truth and being honest, but I think he was very much in remembrance of what happened last, which was his brother was trying to kill him. But it's smart of him to say now, nope, I don't remember. Amnesia. Last thing I remember, I was hanging out with the boys. I don't even remember riding a dragon. You say I was on a dragon? When did that happen? It's smart. I mean, I could be wrong. He could have amnesia. I mean, falling from the sky, being burnt could cause, I would imagine, some type of brain traumas. I am in the camp that I believe he is very much aware that his brother tried to kill him. And it's in his best interest to say that he doesn't remember, because it's probably way easier to kill him than before. So yeah, I think he remembers. There's a loose dragon out there, wild dragon as they call it. What is this dragon? Is it like Vagar levels of fearfulness that is coming? Who is this previous dragon's previous rider? Like I read in the comments, it's a sheep stealer. It's very dangerous. Okay, I'm here for it. There's a deep understanding in this moment from Allison. Again, there's just like, what have I become? What has all of my lies led to? And it's almost, hurting another one of her kids. Like, poor, putting my team green aside, I have disdain for them. There is a character that I just feel so bad for, and that's Helena, man. She's always caught up in the middle of stuff, man. Like she's seems to be, out of all her kids, besides obviously the one that we talked about earlier, seems to be the only one that has a level of kindness and a heart. And it's unfortunate who her family tree lies within. And it's just the riots going on. It really puts things in perspective, man. They have lost, where the true power comes from is within having a relationship and an understanding of your people, knowing that they can trust you and they'll do anything for you. But when you lose that trust, you lose everything. Like what is Aemon, Aegon, Allison fighting for if you don't have the trust of your own people? Again, I talked about it, not to sound like a broken record, but yet another relationship I did not anticipate coming. And I don't know if this is a relationship that's going to continue throughout the series, but it's Aegon and Laris, man. He's talking about, there's this understanding of like, now that Aegon is wounded, like, and it may never be the same and probably will not be the same emotionally, physically, mentally, you name it. And, it's opportunity to say, I kind of know where you're coming from. Someone that's less of or looked upon differently than his brother. And it's something that has built him to become the person that he is today. And he's kind of saying like, don't allow your inabilities or disabilities to, stop you from becoming the man you want to be, type of a conversation. And, we see the king says to him, help me. Right. And last person that said that was, Allison. That relationship hasn't really worked out to her advantage. And someone that is capable of killing their brother and their father, Laris and Aegon, man. Like, again, I mentioned earlier, is the truth going to ever be revealed as far as what Aemon did to his brother? And if Aegon tells Laris what happened, I should say, that's interesting. The brothers, I believe this is Adam. He's out doing his thing, and Smoke is in the need of a writer. I like what this is setting up. Now, I don't know the whole, I talked about earlier, being appreciative of the lore and the world building. I don't know how easy it is to just like, a dragon picks you and you just all of a sudden know how to fly a dragon and know its commands and what have you, especially with Adam not properly being raised to, speak their language and, to know their culture, because, obviously his dad didn't raise him. So, that's interesting to see how that plays out. But nonetheless, put whatever quote you want to put in the scene. The fight doesn't pick you, you pick the fighter. So I don't know, you can put any quote in there, but the dragon, you don't pick the dragon picks you in the scene. And Smoke has his new rider in front of him. That complicates, obviously, the whole, hierarchy of like when your son is next in line to take on Driftmark and become the king and all that. So that complicates Lenore, and that complicates all that stuff. So, and then of course with his wife recently passing, his loyalty, it brings up a lot of complications. So really intrigued to see how that's handled, if that's more of a season 3 conversation plot to explore, his whole bastard children and what that can mean. So, but nonetheless, I'm excited to see two women that share common understanding of being misunderstood or not being listened to, being dismissed, and all that stuff. And I'm very intrigued to see if this becomes that type of relationship where they have a love for each other, where the respect matures into love. That'll be really interesting. But like I've always said, in the world of Game of Thrones, if you find someone that you have that type of relationship with, it doesn't always end well. What the show's given us, Damon gets back to the picture. He sees this relationship. Does he look at Rhaenyra as this is a form of like payback or something? He looks at this as a payback from, the White Worm. It's all that comes with it. But then I go back to Masari. Like, was that part of her plan? To like swoop in and kind of find that level of intimacy that Rhaenyra has been missing. And we've known for the last 4 or 5 weeks, she talks about Damon. I'm so sick of him. I don't know if he's coming back. Like, I don't know if she's using her lack of confidence of Damon and swooping in and filling that void. So it's interesting. I wouldn't say to someone that's on their side, but it's someone that has ties to their side, which we know is Corliss. So I like it, man. I like it. So final thoughts before we wrap it up. Let me know comments, favorite moment, MVP, score, and predictions for next week. But for me, I would give this episode a solid. There were a lot of good, another setup episode like last week. And this season also has been more of a setup than season 1, in my humble opinion. Dynamic and the power shifting and the inabilities to see the best, plans and strategies because they're clouded with greed and power and absolute corruption. How that plays to characters like Aemon and how he's clouded and just kind of he wants to prove himself so much that he might not be doing the best things. But having Otto being brought back is going to probably steer clear of putting him on the right path and seeing how that's going to be navigated, because Otto can obviously easily manipulate his other grandson with Aegon, but Aemon isn't Aegon. So that's going to be a very good, going back to relationships, seeing more of Aemon and Otto is going to be really interesting. I'm off from Cole this episode, which I'm happy for. I hate Cole, so the less the better. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff going on with Team Green. But as far as Team Black is concerned, having more dragons, getting more dragon riders, the Adam and Alan of it all, the Corliss being involved, the truth being out there, and what that can mean for that family. And this relationship between the White Worm and Rhaenyra is very intriguing to me. I think Jace is going to have some issues with that if it comes to light. And yeah, man, it's really shaping up to being something hopefully epic in these last 2 episodes. Episode 7s tend to be the big ones. Normally we talked about, the season only got 8 episodes, which kind of sucks. We're so used to 10 episodes of Game of Thrones, but going to that logic of episode 9s are traditionally the big episodes of Game of Thrones. This is the reverse of that. We only got 8 episodes, so that means episode 7 is that big episode. So we'll see, man. But to give you all a score, I would say for me, I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm a solid 8. That's gonna be it, y'all. I'm gonna call it a night. From me to you, be safe. Thank y'all for joining. Have a great week, and see you guys next week with episode 7. Y'all been awesome. Catch you next time.